Speaking with Jordan Wilson and Wen-kuni Ceant. Jordan and Wen-kuni are two Howard University graduates who teamed up to create the Politicking app. This app helps millennials make informed decisions when casting votes in the local, state, and national elections by streamlining all of the information you need to cast an educated ballot. The two friends recently launched the app on the Google Play Store and plan to extend its reach leading into the 2020 election season. Welcome, Jordan and Wen-kuni, and thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us,
Emma.
I'm so excited to talk to you and learn more about the Politicking app. First of all, I know that the Politicking app grew out of your own experiences casting votes as young people. Can you tell me more about your inspiration for this app and specifically why target young people?
Sure. So in 2016, I went to vote, trying to be an engaged and informed constituent that I thought I was, and I realized that I only really had a good understanding of the names towards the top of the ballot. And it was really frustrating and a bit disappointing to learn that, although I had, matriculated through college and graduate school, that I still was having such a hard time grappling with politicians in my own backyard and trying to figure out who to make the best choice for. And I found the same struggle applied to the amendments and referendums that I was voting for. So I got home from that experience very frustrated, and I called Jordan and I had a conversation with her about my frustrations and the fact that I was just really frustrated that the system of voting is just not easier, particularly for people of color, particularly for people who've been historically disengaged in the political conversation. And we just agreed that it was just very challenging for people, especially those who perhaps were first-time voters or that English was not their first language. And from there, we really set out to understand why that was and what we could do to fix it. And Politicking was really born out of that conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that experience of feeling uneducated and unprepared when casting a vote is so relatable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this app to me, it seems so comprehensive. I know it includes various features, from one feature that breaks down local ballots into layperson terms, and another feature that streamlines information on the 2020 elections. What features of this app do you consider most important, and why did you choose to include them?
Yeah, so the feature that you've mentioned, which delineates who candidates are, is the electorate feature, and then also the 2020 feature, which you mentioned, are probably the two most important things. Now, I would really say that knowing you're a council person in the next municipal election is just as important as knowing who is running for president. And so our electorate feature is a tool that you can use for folks at the local level. There's not a lot of aggregated information throughout, online publications for a council election or a school board election. The way we'll find out, how many candidates are running for Democrats, are supporting Israel, are really popular stances that have occurred throughout the race. And so I would say that the presidential, comparison candidate feature, which is known as My President Is, the electorate feature, and probably our polling by location feature are the most important. People don't realize that they live up the block or even right next to a polling location. And that's something that folks like Wen-kuni and myself, who are informed in politics, are still somewhat scrambling on election day. And so these features will allow folks through Politicking to really feel more empowered, informed, and prepared on election day.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like you just make it so easy. It's, instead of going off and doing this research that seems that like it's not very accessible to many people, it's all streamlined. And
Absolutely.
You talked about our streamlined.
Accessibility is our priority. People won't take the time to do the research because they don't even know where to start. Politicking is a central location that you can take to find out almost anything you need to know about participating in an election at every level.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to use it going into the 2020 elections. So I understand this app was just launched on the Google Play Store very recently, on July 3rd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
And so how do you see it growing as we head into the 2020 elections?
So Emma, we really see the app continuing to expand, and really one of the focal points of politicking is scalability. Right now, we've really been focusing on a couple different metropolises, but ultimately we believe that politicking is the tool that all Americans need access to. And really, that's something that we're continuing to grapple with, which is why we've introduced our crowdfunding campaign. So we're actually in the process of raising money so that hopefully by 2020, that every single county in the United States, which is our goal, will have access to the politicking app. Right now, focusing on a national election is easier than focusing on local elections. But what Jordan and I have realized is that local politics mitigate what's going on in your own backyard. And it's for that reason why it's extremely essential that every single American have access to politicking by the time of the 2020 election. So that's really our goal, and that's what we're working towards.
Wow, yeah, it seems like accessibility is very central to this.
Accessibility is key.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why do you believe in general that technology is important for pro-democracy work?
Technology is our number one go-to for ordering food, for picking up our medicine, and considering how important voting and civic engagement is, as Wen-kuni stated, to just our day-to-day lives. It only makes sense to make sure that technology is a platform that upholds our information. We take very seriously the prospect of educating ourselves in the classroom, but I believe that civic engagement is much too broad of an issue to be consolidated to one space. And so considering how accessible, how transformative, and quite frankly, how quickly technology advances, it's important that all of the information that's important through elections and a lot of pro-democracy work, like voter rights and like other initiatives that really ignite traditionally non-engaged constituencies, it's important that these endeavors are translated to some sort of platform that we all have access to. We all use our phones and computers.
Yeah, and to echo Jordan's sentiments, Emma, we already see the stronghold that social media has had, not only in this presidency, but in the past presidencies, and it's only going to continue to grow. And so that's why, as millennials, it's extremely important that we shoulder the responsibility to ensure that our constituents are informed and engaged. But doing that in a responsible way is really one of politicking's foremost premises.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that I am so inspired by your passion for this project and your ability to keep working to make informed voting more accessible, especially in today's often divisive political climate. I know it can be so easy to lose hope and just give up. So what inspires both of you to keep fighting for a fair and accessible democracy?
Yeah, I would say that, we come from neighborhoods that are traditionally shouldered out of elections, and, that communities of color, young people, poor people often feel as if elections are not the outlet for them to have a voice. They often, quite frankly, don't feel like they have a voice at all. And the fact that people don't feel that a basic and fundamental right is something that they are able to feel empowered through inspires me every day. I visit my hometown of Gary, Indiana frequently, and I, talk to people. They see new people running an election locally every 4 years and concurrently a presidential election, but they don't feel, any sort of personal relationship to them, be it identity, schooling. And so I want to make sure that they understand just because they might not see someone in public office who's directly reflective of them, that they absolutely have a right to influence how the next election will go, and how any election that really will influence day-to-day governance will go.
And agreed with Jordan. I think it's largely centered around our backgrounds and our personal stories. Both of my parents are from Haiti, and they were born and raised there. And because of that, English is their second language. So for me, that sort of crisis that I see in South Florida on a day-to-day basis, whether it be the Latino community, the Haitian community, etc., or any other community, we really understand that every single person has unalienable rights, and voting is one of them. And we're really trying to make sure that everyone has access to that, and has access to that in an informed way, that people don't feel stigmatized or ostracized from this process that really is created to serve the general public. And a lot of times, you know, in talking with my communities, I realize they just don't feel part of the process, and they don't feel that the process is for them. And oftentimes that's what's keeping them from the ballot. So for me, that's something that is really a fundamental a mantra of mine, is making sure that the opportunities that I've been given in my lifetime, that I'm able to lend those back to the communities that I came from. And I think that's one of Jordan's mantras as well.
It is. And I would say a larger thing that certainly inspires both of us, in addition to a commitment to those folks who don't have a voice or who don't feel that they have a voice, is the fact that we're living in such an energized time with regards to democracy. A lot of initiatives and projects come from a place of pain, but a lot come from a place of inspiration and feeling, you know, that the tides are changing. The power is in the hands of younger folks, or folks who don't necessarily have that access to political power or capital. And so knowing this, young people, women, people of color like Wen-kuni and I are taking a stand to say we're energized and we're not letting up. We're part of that group.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And it seems from your responses that these personal connections and relationships are so key to making others feel that they have a stake and that they have a voice and power in our democracy. So kind of on that same vein, I'm wondering, what advice would you give to any American hoping to become involved in pro-democracy work?
Yeah, I would certainly say that any American who's involved in pro-democracy work should try to maybe find what it is that they're connected to personally, that they could make an impact in. And so for Wen-kuni and I, it was civic engagement. As she stated, she knows people directly in her life who don't have English as a first language. I know people in my life who have been formerly incarcerated, who aren't sure what the stipulations are around voter registration as a formerly incarcerated person. So using your personal narrative and personal experience to influence your work would probably be number one. Number two is creating allyship. The thing about, you know, not necessarily being someone who's running for office is that you can ask any and everyone for your help. Politicking is nonpartisan. And so if there's an initiative that doesn't have to take a political leaning, I would say to ask everyone to chip into your work. But even if someone's efforts are influenced by a particular party or a particular goal that might be biased, I would say to, you know, gather in those people who aren't traditionally involved, younger people, people of color. You know, by 2045, we'll have a minority voting population. And so I would say to really, you know, diversify those folks who are involved in your efforts and make sure that you have people giving you feedback and helping you from all different walks of lives and perspectives.
Yeah, and to echo those sentiments, we talked a little bit about the politicking by location feature of the app, but another thing that Jordan and I are working tirelessly on is creating sort of like an Eventbrite type feature for political events where people can actually reach out to and find these advocacy groups that align with their personal narratives, as she was talking about, because it is important to ensure that people are not only getting engaged at the time of elections, but also keeping them stimulated and energized between election cycles. And politicking really we feel like we're trying to build something that's comprehensive and something that's not only used during the times of elections, because we understand that it's not just important enough to get someone into office. We also have a job to hold them accountable. We have a job to do things within our own communities to ensure that elected officials are hearing us and we're hearing them. So it's really going to be a cumulative effort working towards 2020 and beyond.
Yeah, to echo Wen-kuni's sentiments, people ask us, what are you going to do to keep folks engaged outside of the presidential cycles or the election cycles? And we're like, there's a presidential election every week, there's an election every week. At the local level, there certainly is. And at the state level, there are multiple elections throughout the year. And so there's really no downtime for politics. One thing that we do to really continue to charge our work is work to make people understand that, you can always keep yourself informed. There's never a time where you should tap out of politics.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, it seems like there are so many exciting ways that you are making voting more accessible through this app and really just growing the democracy movement. I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to share about the Politicking app before we sign off today.
I would echo what was previously stated. We have a crowdfunding campaign. You could follow us on social media. On Instagram, it's Politicking the app, and you'll find a link in our bio about giving to that crowdfunding campaign. Additionally, you can visit politickingtheapp.com to sign up for our subscriber list. There's constant engagement if anyone is a part of that list, so they will be able to connect with us personally via social media or through our email newsletters. But we just encourage people to follow us. We'll be releasing our app on iOS soon, and we really ask for folks' feedback and support throughout the development of this platform.
Great. And which social media platforms are you on, just so I can make sure folks can find you?
So there's politickingapp.com. So that's POLITICKINGAPP.com. That's the best place to reach us because you can subscribe and then we can actually reach out to you. There's Twitter at politickingapp. That's POLITICKINGAPP. And then Instagram, Politicking the app. So POLITICKINGTHEAPP. So those are our main forums. And then we also have Facebook, Politicking app. You can find us there as well. And hopefully we'll be able to actually give you those links so that you can post it right under the interview, as well as the crowdfunding link, so we really can get people leaning in on this initiative. And also feel free to reach out if you're just interested in the project. We need ambassadors for politicking. We need people who are on the floor in all the different geographic regions that we're planning to serve. It's really important that we mobilize, and that goes across the spectrum. We're looking for people from all different walks of life to really join hands with us and further our cause, because we believe it's everyone's cause. So really, we're one for all in this, and we'll be happy to provide all that information as well to you, Emma.
Awesome. Yeah, we will include the links to all of that when this goes up on the Democracy Movement website. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. It's been so exciting, and I can't wait to see the growth and success of this incredible resource for so many people.
Absolutely. We look forward to everyone learning about our work, Emma. Thank you for the opportunity to share it.
Yes, thank you so much, Emma. And we'll also keep you in the loop when that iOS version comes out so we can alert your followers too.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear about it.